we are going to be reviewing the infant lesson planning form. So you can see at the top of the form, it indicates that it says infant lesson planning form. That's how you know that you will have the correct form for your age group. At the top in blue here, it says approvers, initials, and date. So someone from the Academy leadership team needs to review the lesson plan and provide feedback. The next line says week of, so you're going to provide the date in the month, day, year format. So for example, if it's the week of August 17th, you're going to put 8/17/2020. You're going to write the names of the teachers inside of the classroom. If it's one teacher, just going to write the one teacher's name. If there are two teachers in the classroom, you're going to write both teachers' names. The room number, you're going to write the room number of the classroom that you're in. And the curriculum study. So you're going to write the name of the curriculum study as it's listed on the curriculum timeline. So you don't need to put the subtopics or the focus questions or investigations. So for example, if the study is trees, you just need to put trees. If it's all about us, you just need to put all about us. You don't need to tell me that you're on the subtopic of my feelings. The next section of the infant lesson plan is rest time. So that's already filled in with the health and safety basics of safe sleep for infants. The next section is health, safety, and nutrition activity. So this can be one of three things. It can be an activity that you do with the children inside of the classroom. It can be activities that you send home for the families to do, like a homeschool connection or family partnership or engagement activity. Or it can be some resources that you're sending home. Family partnerships. So family partnerships are those activities that are connecting the family to the curriculum. It's getting them involved in the study. So they're hands-on learning experiences that the family can do at home with their children. It's items that maybe we want the family to bring in or to donate. So for example, if we want them to bring in a picture of their family for the cozy area, that could be something. Or if we're doing some activities and we want them to bring in maybe some toilet paper rolls or empty boxes at home if they have them, that could be something that we put there. Or it's volunteer or engagement, family engagement activities. So if we're having like a family movie night, we can list that there. The next section is the evidence of learning board changes. So there are 4 evidence of learning boards inside of your classroom: cognitive, physical, language and literacy, and social emotional. What you need to do in this section is indicate the board for that week that you're going to be changing or adding an item to. And you need to describe what you're putting on there. So are you putting a picture of the infants engaged in tummy time on your physical board? So that's, you need to be specific as to what board you're changing and exactly what are you putting on the board. And we know that for infants, our evidence of learning is mainly going to be pictures. They can't write yet, and we don't want to see that handprint footprint art, right? What is that really teaching the child? If we see artwork from an infant, it's really focusing on the grasping of the crayon or the pencil or whatever kind of art material that they have. So what I would do in that instance is I would take a picture of the infant actually holding the crayon and kind of scribbling on the paper and hang it next to their artwork. And your blurb would be more about, you know, that Johnny can grasp the crayon appropriately. So really be intentional with the evidence of learning that you're putting up, and really think about how what you're displaying or what you're capturing is it showing what the child is learning, or is it kind of this cutesy artwork that maybe we want to save for Mother's Day or a special occasion. The next section of the lesson plan is the individual infant planning form. So what you want to do is, there's enough boxes for 8 infants, but you want to write the name of a child in one of the boxes. And then you're going to, underneath that, you're going to indicate individualized experiences that you plan on providing for that child based on your child observations. So maybe it's that we notice that Juana is starting to crawl, and we really want to begin to support her with continuing to crawl. So what activities am I going to provide to be able to support Juana with fully crawling? And you're going to do that for all of the infants in your care. The next section is where we get into kind of the heart of the lesson plan. So what you're actually doing inside of the classroom. So the first section is classroom learning experiences. So that is kind of like your free play that you're going to be involved with the infants in, or those kind of intentional activities that you're doing with the infants inside of the classroom. So every activity starts with an objective. So the objective needs to begin with CWBAT, which stands for child will be able to. Some people put SWBAT, student will be able to, that's fine as well. Then you'll describe the learning goal of the activity. So what is the point of the activity? And you can use your objectives for development and learning from teaching strategies to support you with doing this. But if the goal of the activity is that you want this child to be able to grasp, maybe we're having infants play with rattles, and we want them to work on their fine motor skills, then your objective could be child will be able to use fine motor skills by grasping, or something to that effect. Underneath of the objective, then you're going to describe your activity. So then I would describe, for example, if we stick with the rattle example, I'm going to describe that I'm going to be providing the infants with rattles, and we're going to be shaking the rattles to music. You also want to indicate here any Mighty Minutes or intentional teaching cards that you're going to be using. So you can abbreviate that. Mighty Minutes can be MM, and intentional teaching cards can be ITC. So that you don't need to write that whole thing out. We can kind of use those abbreviations, but you want to kind of find, if you're creating your own activities based on what your children need, there's definitely a Mighty Minute or an intentional teaching card that can relate to that. So for example, if we're sticking with that rattle scenario, and maybe I can't find an intentional teaching card or Mighty Minute, there's an intentional teaching card called encouragement for social emotional. So you could definitely use that, because you're going to be encouraging the infants to hold those rattles properly and shake them. So you can always find something that will relate to an activity that you maybe have developed on your own, but definitely use the curriculum as much as you can. And in the curriculum bundle, we have listed intentional teaching cards and Mighty Minutes that relate to that kind of curriculum study. The next section is child initials. So this is not necessarily going to be filled in for every activity, right? We want to think intentionally. So for example, if earlier we talked about in my individual planning form about supporting Juana with crawling. So maybe one of my activities is, there is, I believe, a Mighty Minute about now I'm crawling. So maybe I'm using that. So if that's my activity, that definitely would support Juana with crawling. So I would put Juana's initials under that activity, because all children are going to be doing it, but I know that this activity is really going to help Juana, and I'm going to be there to support her through this activity. In the next box, you're going to write the PA learning standard that goes with that activity. You don't need to write the words, you just need to write the number. The next section is our gross motor experiences for the week. So the first section in this is indoor gross motor experiences. So that's if you take the children to your indoor gym. So again, same setup as before. We want to provide that objective, that learning goal, and then we want to describe the activity and include that Mighty Minute or intentional teaching card if applicable, which, like I said, most of the time it will be. Again, child initials if applicable, if that activity is there to support one of your infants, and then the learning standard. The same goes true for outdoor experiences. Children need to be taken outside every day, weather permitting. The weather permitting guidelines are listed there. So same thing, you want to be intentional. So are we taking the infants outside for a walk because maybe there isn't a playground by us or a safe place to go, but we're just going to go take them outside for a walk to get some fresh air. But while we're out on our walk, maybe we're going to be picking up some leaves and crunching the leaves so that the infants can hear the sound. So that could be something that you could indicate there. During our walk, we will be collecting leaves and squishing them in front of the infants so that they can hear the sound and talking to them about the sound. Again, if you find a Mighty Minute or an intentional teaching card that relates to something that you're doing outside, some of them are a little harder for outside activities, but there may be something in there that you can connect. Please list that. Child initials, again, if applicable, and that PA learning standard. The next section is changes to the learning environment. So in this section, you're going to be describing any learning materials that you're going to be adding into your interest areas or inside of your classroom that are going to be able to support you with implementing those activities. So if I'm going to be adding rattles into the classroom, or additional rattles or different types of rattles, so that the children can do the activity that we talked about earlier, then that's what I'm going to list there. And this last section is thoughts for next week. So you want to kind of be self-reflective on the experiences inside of the classroom, where the children are growing, developing, learning, and changing. And describe your thoughts for the next week's activities inside of the classroom. So what should be done to be able to continue to support the children? What do you need support with? Is there materials you need? Is there something that you would like your academy leadership to observe you doing because you would like feedback on that? Is there something you need ordered for a future lesson plan that you have? What did the children like? Did the infants really enjoy the bubble activity that you did the following week? So you want to continue to incorporate that because you saw them reaching for the bubbles and really using those hand-eye coordination to try to pop them. So really be intentional when you think about this, but it's self-reflection. There's no really right or wrong answer. It's you reflecting on your teaching experience, and then also communicating with academy leadership, maybe some of your needs, again, whether that's materials or coaching support or feedback. I'm also going to be providing, I know we walked through kind of how to write the lesson plan, what each section is about. I'm also going to be including in the education portal an example lesson plan with kind of those examples that I gave out, some example activities of what this should look like when you actually fill it out using the creative curriculum and PA learning standards and the initials and so on and so forth. So please use that as a reference as well.